DuckTales, The Hunt for the Giant Pearl. Scrooge McDuck and Flintheart Glomgold, the world's two richest ducks, were appearing on the television program Lifestyles of Rich and Famous Ducks. Scrooge claimed he owned the biggest and best of everything. "See, here's the world's largest pearl," he said. A big bright pearl glowed in his palm. "That tiny thing," scoffed Flintheart. "Why, I know of a much bigger pearl. I know where the legendary giant pearl is, and I'm going to get it." "Where is it?" Scrooge cried. Flintheart laughed. "You'll never find it. You don't even know where to look for the giant pearl." "I'll find it," replied Scrooge. "It worked," Flintheart told his evil partner, Magica Dispel, when the show was over. "Now Scrooge will do all the work of finding the giant pearl for us, and it won't cost me a penny. And with my magic, we'll have no trouble tagging along and nabbing the pearl first," Magic added with a cackle. But at the same time she was thinking, "Then I can trade it for Scrooge's lucky dime, and once I have the dime, I can rule the world." Meanwhile, Scrooge had gone straight home. He nodded hello to his three nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Then he headed for his super-powerful computer. He needed information about pearls. Nearby, Flintheart and Magica were peering through a telescope pointed right at Scrooge's window. They watched Scrooge work on and on. "I found it!" Scrooge finally shouted, waving a computer printout. "The giant pearl is on the island of 3 pointed peaks." Now Scrooge had to locate the island. For 2 days his computer hummed and flashed and printed, but it couldn't find the island anywhere. "I'm not wasting another cent to keep you going," Scrooge growled, yanking out the computer's plug. He sat with his head in his hands. Just then, Huey, Dewey, and Louie ran into the room. They had been checking for the island too. They all pointed to a tiny spot on a map of the Pacific Ocean. "How did you find it?" Scrooge asked. "By looking in our Junior Woodchuck guidebook," said Dewey. "How else?" said Louie. "Well," Scrooge declared, "I know where the giant pearl is. Now I need something that will help me find it on that island." So Scrooge paid a visit to Gyro Gearloose, the inventor. Gyro went straight to work. He selected wires, dials, and buzzers. In a few minutes he strapped his invention to Scrooge's wrist. "This is the Gyro Gearloose Deluxe Pearl Finder," Gyro said. "When it is near a pearl, it will ring." The next day Scrooge started packing to go. Huey, Dewey, and Louie watched. Huey said with a sigh, "I wish we could go too." "Me too," said Dewey. "Uh-huh," Louie chimed in. "What about school and homework?" Scrooge asked sternly. "There's no school over the weekend," Huey said. "We're studying Pacific Ocean Islands anyway," added Dewey. "This trip could help us. And we can bring the pearl to school for show and tell," suggested Louie. Scrooge wasn't so sure about that, but he agreed to let the boys come along. They boarded a new jet hydrofoil with the fearless test pilot, Launch McQuack. It zoomed off, flying smoothly and fast just above the water. Flying silently above the hydrofoil was a jet seaplane, and inside the seaplane were Flintheart and Magica. After hours of flying, the hydrofoil approached a small island. Its 3 pointed peaks rose from the calm blue sea. "Look, Uncle Scrooge," cried Huey. 3 pointed peaks?" exclaimed Dewey. "I bet the giant pearl is really there," Louie said. Flintheart and Magica landed nearby without being seen to watch Scrooge and the boys search. They checked a deep cave, no pearl. They peered down 2 volcano cones, nothing. "Why doesn't the pearl finder ring work?" asked Huey. They searched under rocks and behind bushes. They looked everywhere, but they couldn't find the giant pearl. Panting, they struggled to the top of the tallest volcano cone and looked into its silent pit. "I have a feeling about this volcano," Scrooge said. "But the pearl finder isn't ringing," said Dewey. "This thing," said Scrooge, unstrapping it. "You wear it. I'm beginning to think it couldn't tell a pearl from a potato." Carefully, Scrooge made his way down inside the steep volcano cone. At the bottom, hidden from above by a ledge, he saw it. "The giant pearl," he gasped. It was the single shining eye of an ancient statue. Scrooge took the bright pearl and scrambled back to the top. "Gosh," said Huey, "it sure is big." "Too big for you, Scrooge," sneered Flint Heart, rushing up. "But just right for us," said Magica, waving her hands. She froze Scrooge and the boys in place with her 2-minute human statue spell. "Now," Flint Heart said with a grin, as he grabbed the giant pearl from the helpless Scrooge, "it's mine." "No, it's mine," Magica said, snatching it from Flint Heart, "and I'm trading it for the one thing that will let me rule the world, Scrooge's lucky dime." Just then, the deluxe pearl finder began to ring. Magica dropped the giant pearl and put her hands over her ears. The pearl burst into bits as Magica's spell wore off. "Look what happened," said Flint Heart. "If you hadn't been so greedy, we could have gotten away with the pearl." "It's your fault," said Magica. "If you'd grabbed the pearl sooner, I could have had the dime and been on my way." "Serves you both right," said Scrooge. "You let me and the boys do all the work, and you expected the reward. That's never the right way." Back in Duckburg, Uncle Scrooge was on television again. Huey, Dewey, and Louie were watching. "Yes," said Scrooge, holding up his largest pearl once more. "I still own the world's largest pearl. The giant pearl may be gone forever, but I did find it. And I'll tell you how. I found the giant pearl because I worked hard and did my homework." Later, Uncle Scrooge said to the boys, "That reminded me. While we were away, you didn't do your homework." "Yes, we did," said Huey. "We wrote it up last night," said Dewey. "And here it is," said Louie. There was a gold star in their school report about the hunt for the giant pearl.